What's up, guys? It's Danoff here. I'm currently riding the Yamaha MT-07 2018 model. So I've been having this bike for a year now, just cruising around, doing my thing, and I thought, you know what, why not make a 1-year review out of it, you know? Then you know if it's worth your time. I'm gonna sort this in a form of structure. I don't know, as structured as I can get it, you know. There will be a table of content. You can jump to whichever part you want, or if you're a nice little fellow, you can watch the entire thing. But otherwise, there's a table of content here somewhere, maybe up here, maybe over here, maybe down here, I don't know, but there's one somewhere in case I made one. Otherwise there's not one. No, but I'll be offering timestamps and everything, because I know not everyone wants to hear about everything. We're gonna start off with the design. So the MT-07 has always kind of looked the same since it came out, and it's a really nice looking bike that Yamaha offered, but I always thought it looked a little bit plastic. It didn't look that high end. It looked kind of cheap, and it's not an expensive bike, but you know, you kind of wanted to at least look the part. And let me just tell you, that's exactly what they improved on with the Yamaha MT-07 2018. The new design, as you might see on my sexy bod I got here, the new design is way better. It looks way more luxurious, it looks way more high-end, doesn't look as plasticky. It really looks like a bike that is a lot more expensive than it is. For this price, this bike is amazing. I mean, it looks so nice. I mean, it's insane. These new fenders, everything. I mean, I can't get over how nice they made this bike look. And honestly, yeah, some of the coloring schemes don't look that good. I mean, what is their trademark, the one with the green all over it, that kind of looks a little cheap down on the rims. But I got a matte black one, and I gotta say, it looks incredibly good. Not bad, it doesn't look incredibly bad, it looks incredibly good, and I'm so happy over how they made it. And it's just such a nice looking bike, and honestly, that's the biggest improvement for me. Also, there's a new seat. You sit way more comfortably on it now. I remember I have only ridden the old models like 4 times, but I was surprised how uncomfortable they were. It's not necessarily they're super uncomfortable, just in comparison to this one. You don't want to buy an old model because it's not comfortable at all in comparison. So the new seat is incredible. It stretches out here, so it's comfortable for your legs. If you got a big ass, there's a lot of room. So I mean, that's fucking dope. Anyway, also the design, what they really been focusing on ever since the launch of this model, is the lightweight. I mean, this bike weighs nothing at all. I mean, you can, it's hard to explain, but it doesn't weigh anything. It's such a maneuverable bike. I mean, if you're in a corner or if you're swerving somewhere, it doesn't matter what you're doing, this bike is insanely maneuverable. So on to something a little more interesting that I think a lot of people are actually wondering about. What are the improvements on the design since, you know, the 2017? Should you pay more for the 2018? Spoiler, yes, it's an incredible bike. But the biggest thing I think they fixed, I would honestly go as far as saying that's fixing compared to how it was, is the springs and the suspension. I mean, the last bike could get a little rocky. I didn't like the springs at all. It felt very low end. It really felt like the springs were a part that for some reason they tried to save money on. They probably didn't. I'm not saying that Yamaha tried to skip out on prices. I think they made a poor choice there. The new springs are amazing. I mean, going over bumpy roads, going over potholes, the new suspensions are amazing. I mean, you won't have any fucking problem. You can drive everywhere you want now. It's all smooth sailing. Also, they fixed the brakes, especially the rear brake used to feel very mushy. Feels way more responsive now. The engine brake feels better. I mean, there's a lot of overall improvement with this new 2018 model. So let's go into a little bit more of the fun stuff, and that is the overall the overall riding experience. I mean, this is probably the part you came for. This bike is insanely fun. It's very responsive, and that engine just fucking spits fire, man. I mean, it's insane. When you want to go fast on this bike, I mean, you will go fast. And if you get it to around 5,000 to 6,000 RPMs, oh my god, that's where it fucking pulls. You will be flying around with that. I mean, it's insane. It's honestly an insanely fast bike. I mean, this is kind of the thing with the MT or FC series that Yamaha has. They kind of offer it like an all-around bike, because mostly I go city riding with this to school or to wherever the fuck I'm going. But if I'm out, and I don't necessarily go on the track that much, but if I'm out in the mountains, that people say, we don't really have mountains in Sweden at the same way, but if I'm out on those curvy roads, then I mean, this bike pulls. I mean, I keep up with other people, and yeah, I mean, you can go into sport, you can go into freaking off-road if you want. Just watch Jack the Garden Snake. He takes this bike everywhere. But he's insane. But I mean, he literally takes this bike everywhere, and I'm not surprised, because you can take this bike everywhere. It's an insanely good all-around bike, and you know, the improvements, I mean, I wouldn't buy an older model, because mostly the design, but the overall riding feel is just so much better with the bigger seat and the new suspensions and everything. I just really think that Yamaha stepped up their game insanely much when they made this new model of the MT-07. So also, I will be going through the specs. I got a different clip for that. Specs!
Sorry, just gotta do sound check. Now I'll do it.
Alright. Engine type, 2-cylinder, 4-stroke, liquid cooled, DOHC, 4 valves. Oh god, I can't breathe in this. Displacement 689 centimeter 2, whatever that's called now again. 4x stroke 80.0 mm x 68.6 mm. Compression ratio 11,5,1. Maximum power 55.0 kW 74.8 P5 at 9,000 RPM. Limited power version 35. Maximum torque 68.0 Nm at 6,500 RPM. Lubrication system wet sump, of course. Clutch type wet, multiple discs. Ignition system TCE. Starter system electric. Transmission system constant mesh 6-speed. Final transmission chain. Fuel consumption 4.3 liters per 100 kilometers. CO2 emission 100 G per kilometer. Oh my god, I can't breathe. So what's special after riding this bike for a year? What is my overall thoughts about it? And I mean, first of all, I gotta give him big credit for one thing that all you Yamaha MT-07 riders probably noticing. My bike doesn't act as yours does. It acts a little differently, and that's because it's restricted to 35 kV. I mean, I don't know if you say kV, but KW, I don't know. My brain is going bananas. I don't know what that means anymore. But I mean, for all of you European bros, I mean, when you're 18, you can get, at least in Sweden, when you're 18, you can get your A2 license, which is the restricted license. And until you're 24 in Sweden, or been having your A2 license in 2 years, then you can get an A license and buy bigger bikes. So that Yamaha offers such an easy way to get your bike restricted to an A2 is is an amazing feature, honestly, and it's one of the reasons why this bike triumphed for me, because that feature that's an amazing feature. I mean, I don't really know what more I should say about that. It's a great feature. More bikes should offer that for us European boys. But overall, after 1 year, I gotta say, man, it's an insanely fun bike. And I mean, the engine is just insane. I mean, that's most of what I'm talking about. But this bike throttles so fast. I mean, if you don't watch out, you will be making power wheelies all over the place, which, I mean, that's fun, but you don't want to do a power wheelie in front of a cop just because you accelerate a little too fast. But after 1 year, I couldn't be happier, you know. The lightweight, it's an incredible bike, and it works for advanced as beginners. I mean, technically this is my first real bike. My last bike was a MT-07 because I was only 16. That's all I could get. And so this is like actually my real first bike, and I'm so happy with it. I mean, it's an insanely good bike. And anyways, I mean, they really improved upon everything with this bike. I mean, there's no reason to get the old one. Maybe if you find it super cheap, but I mean, this bike looks so good. It really looks like a super high-end bike, but with the price, what you're getting, it's insane. I mean, of course it has some limits, I'm not gonna lie. It's not a god bike. I kind of feel like this is the kind of bike that you won't be happy with for too long. I mean, not that it's a bad bike, but I mean, after around maybe 3 to 5 years there, I think you're gonna want a new one, you know, just something new. But I really think that you might want a bigger bike, you might want a smaller bike. It's really that middle ground that you might not always want. And yeah, that's up to you. But the biggest limit, of course, with this bike, the absolute biggest fucking limit, is if you're tall. I'm a repping short king. I'm not tall at all. I won't say how long I am. Okay. If you're too tall, this bike is really uncomfortable. I mean, I would recommend just going to a dealership and sitting on it, really. I mean, that should be basic. Some people don't do that. They just buy a bike. They haven't even sat on it. I'm gonna buy this bike. Just sit on the freaking bike so you know if it's comfortable. But you see here, oh shit, this is my turn though. God damn. Oh, that's cool. All right, you see my legs? Let me see here. This will probably stay for a while. So you see my leg goes right up here. That's the play you have. When it goes higher than that, you're gonna hit that. You're gonna be sitting very uncomfortably. You kind of look a little goofy too if you're too tall on this kind of naked bike. Kind of look like you have a Grom.